Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. I'm Stephanie Haney. I am here with your top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Many of those have to do with the COVID-19 coronavirus that we're all dealing with right now, but we also have some other things we're going to share with you today, so stick around with us. I promise we'll get to some things that are not related to the pandemic at the end of this. First up, we will start with the numbers from yesterday. The Ohio Department of Health releases our updated numbers for the state of Ohio every day at 2 p.m. So let's recap that there so we know where we're starting when we get those new numbers today. We now have a total of 13,725 cases of COVID-19 coronavirus in Ohio. Now, the way that's being calculated is different. I'd like to remind people who maybe haven't heard earlier this week that now the CDC has an expanded definition for what counts as a case in the country. So the state of Ohio is going by that expanded CDC definition, so that is not only confirmed positive cases, but also probable cases of COVID-19 coronavirus. So now we have 13,725 accounted for here in the state of Ohio. We also have a total of 557 deaths, and that again is based on the expanded definition from the CDC, including positive cases and probable cases of COVID-19. Now, from Monday to Tuesday, we did see a drop in the number of new cases, and a pretty significant drop because for a couple days there we had new cases numbering in the 1300s. Well, from Monday to Tuesday, there were about 800 new cases. So we'll be keeping an eye on that today. Now, the number of new deaths statewide, however, did go up over the past couple of days. We have seen 20 new deaths, and then 38 new deaths, and then from Monday to Tuesday we saw 48 new deaths. So we'll also be keeping an eye on how that number changes today when we get those new numbers at 2 p.m. That's where things stand right now in the state of Ohio. Again, we'll get those new numbers at 2 p.m. Now, related to the timeline for when coronavirus really started impacting us here in the U.S., the CDC now says that the first coronavirus death timeline is off. Officials are now saying that 2 people died from COVID-19 in California weeks before the first death was reported in Kirkland, Washington. Now, that Kirkland, Washington death was reported on February 29th, but Santa Clara County officials now say that people died at home on February 6th and February 17th related to COVID-19. The medical examiner coroner received confirmation on Tuesday that tissue samples sent to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tested positive for COVID-19 based on those 2 deaths in Santa Clara County that were in early and mid-February. California specifically has more than 35,600 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 1,300 deaths. Now, that's according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the state is testing an average of 14,500 people per day, and now that is up from just 2,000 tests per day at the beginning of April. And in California, the hope is to reach the ability to do 25,000 tests a day by the end of April. Here in Ohio, of course, Governor Mike DeWine is talking often about hoping that we can ramp up that testing capacity. So hopefully we're able to follow suit here in Ohio and get lots more testing done. Here in Ohio, though, there are new technological advancements being made related to tracking COVID-19 coronavirus. We're hearing a lot about tracking these days and how we need more people to be able to do it. But Case Western Reserve University has released a tracking data measuring tool that is digital. This tool will tell users how many cases are confirmed in their area and give them what's called a risk index. This is created by Fannie Yee from the Department of Computer and Data Scientists and the Institute for Smart, Secure, and Connected Systems. The abbreviation for that is ISACS, and that is at the Case Western Reserve University School of Engineering. So it's now up and running and does allow users to either share their location or type in a location to check out the risk involved in a particular area. The data that's being used in order to run this new tool comes from county and state demographics and numbers released over the past several weeks and months. So when we're talking about the numbers that come out from the Ohio Department of Health, of course, each individual county is also releasing similar numbers. And there are certain counties that have zip code maps as well, which we have on WKYC.com. So that's the kind of data that they're using. But it also compiles data from social media conversations in particular areas. Now, Of course, this brings up broader privacy concerns, and of course, when we do opt into sharing our data on those social media platforms, we have certain settings that we can utilize in order to control or try to control how our data gets out there. So if that's something that concerns you, you might want to check those privacy settings. But this is a tool that is being implemented by Case Western Reserve University, and we have a link to that on WKYC.com if you want to learn more about that. Our Cleveland Cavalier Kevin Love was on the Today Show, and he is opening up about how his anxiety has been triggered during the stay-at-home order, which I think is something probably a lot of people can relate to. And so he's been talking about how he's been handling this whole situation, and he's been open about talking about his anxiety in the past. So he said that he has to take a step back and just take a moment to consider what's going on now and saying to himself, you know what, everything is going to be okay. And he thinks that that's lost on a lot of people throughout this whole situation. He thinks that a lot of people might be having a tough time seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So Today host Carson Daly really thanked him for coming on and having that conversation and being open about his health issues, saying that opening up that discussion is helpful for people who aren't necessarily comfortable talking about how they're feeling internally, and maybe if they're having issues with anxiety in this situation, which a lot of people are, and quite honestly, myself included, but we're all here to get through this together. Daly told Kevin Love that we owe him a great debt of gratitude for coming on and talking about that. And also, we owe Kevin Love some gratitude for some of the great things he's been doing here in the community. He donated money to the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse staff through his own nonprofit organization in order to help them continue to get payment while the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, where the Cavs play, is shut down related to this. And he's also been a part of Project Frontline, which is a project that helps support local businesses, the local restaurants that are not getting the business they're used to right now, and also helping to feed our frontline medical care workers. So, Kevin Love, thank you for everything you're doing for the Cleveland community and also just the greater community at large at this time. Here in Ohio, there is a new unemployment filing system being put into place. We know lots of people have been having issues with the unemployment filing system here in Ohio. So the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services has a new plan to help make that a little bit easier for people. So the system, we know, has experienced outages, network issues. They didn't have the capacity for the number of people who would be visiting the site, the individual users each day. If you've been calling on the phone, there have been dropped phone calls, long wait times, all of that stuff. So this new system is to hopefully help alleviate some of those issues. And it works by designating you a particular day to check in based on your last name. So those with last names starting with A through H are encouraged to file on Sundays. I through P are encouraged to file on Mondays, and then the rest of the alphabet encouraged to file on Tuesdays. The other days of the week are open to everyone, but volume and traffic is expected to be higher on those days and to expect delays if people aren't following that designated alphabet system. I guess we'll have to see how that plays out in real life, because if everyone is filing on their designated alphabet day, being Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, it stands to reason maybe the traffic would be lighter on the rest of the week, but if everybody's thinking that, then it's not going to be. So hopefully this will give a little bit of organization to a process that, quite frankly, was never designed to handle this many people needing unemployment in the state of Ohio. More than 855,000 people have filed for unemployment over the last several weeks. We get those updated numbers on Thursday, so when we get those numbers on Thursday, certainly that number will go up. In national news, President Donald Trump has tweeted that he ordered the destruction of Iranian gunboats. This comes amid tensions with Iran. Trump tweeted just about an hour ago that shooting down and destroying Iranian gunboats found to be harassing U.S. ships would be what he recommends. A U.S. Navy video last week showed small Iranian fast boats coming close to American warships as they operated in the northern Persian Gulf near Kuwait with U.S. Army Apache helicopters. Trump did not cite a specific event in his tweet or provide details, and the White House has had no immediate comment, so I'm sure we'll be following that story today. Okay. That wasn't necessarily COVID-19 related, but here are some other things that are not COVID-19 related. These are the fun things that I promised you we would talk a little bit about today. So when we were doing this live stream in the studio, often I would get to bring up our 3 News sports analyst, Ben Axelrod, and we would get to talk a little bit of sports for you. You know, the NFL draft kicks off tomorrow. The Browns do have the number 10 pick, and there's been a lot of talk about what they're going to do with that pick. General Manager Andrew Berry just said the other day that for the NFL draft, as far as he's concerned, and as far as the Browns as an organization are concerned, the strategy is about the long game, about long term, not necessarily filling an immediate need. But there's been a lot of conversation about the Browns' offensive line. You know, these are the people who protect the people who are trying to score the touchdowns, and how we could really beef up that offensive line. So some people are expecting us to take an offensive lineman, a left tackle specifically, with the number 10 pick in the NFL draft on Thursday. But it's possible that that just might not happen. So Ben Axelrod has laid out 5 possibilities that are not linemen that the Browns could take in the draft on Thursday with that number 10 pick. So I'll run down the names for you if you want to get the analysis from that. This is where I would have Ben come in and he would give us all the breakdown and the analysis. But thankfully, you can get that on WKYC.com and our WKYC app, so I encourage you to do that. These are the people that are potential picks that are not linemen, not offensive linemen for the Browns. We've got Isaiah Simmons, a linebacker from Clemson, CeCe Lamb, a wide receiver from Oklahoma, Xavier McKinney, a safety from Alabama, Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle from South Carolina, and Kenneth Murray, a linebacker from Oklahoma. So those are potential options if the Browns do not go with an offensive lineman with that number 10 pick on Thursday. Again, check out that story on WKYC.com and our WKYC app from Ben Axelrod for all of the breakdown, all of the backstory, all of the stats related to those players. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the fact that they've got a lot of time to give a lot of love, and maybe they don't have a lot of people to get a lot of love to right now because we are in self-isolation and quarantine. So if you're looking to adopt a dog, foster a dog even, now is a great time to do that. There's an ASHTABULA dog specifically who's been living in a shelter for 628 days, and that dog's name is PETEY. PETEY is featured on WKYC.com and our WKYC app today. PETEY's a 9-year-old American Pit Bull Terrier, and he has spent 1/3 of his life in a shelter. So he was brought to the Ashtabula County Animal Protective League on August 2nd, 2018. So coming up pretty quickly on 2 years in that shelter, and he's been waiting to be adopted. People at the shelter describe PETEY as having the heart of a puppy, but now at his age, he quickly winds down and he's happy laying on the couch with a good movie and a good human companion. If you want more information about PETEY, you can contact the Ashtabula County APL through their website. That's acapl.org. Or you can give them a call. Now, the shelter is closed today. They're closed on Mondays and Wednesdays, so don't call the shelter today, but you can check out PETEY on our website. You can check out information about adopting at acapl.org, and then you'll be ready to call tomorrow morning if you think PETEY might be a fit for you. That phone number, just so you have it, is 440-224-1222. Again, that's 440-224-1222. Remember, the shelter is closed today, so don't call today. Check out the website, call tomorrow. One more thing we have to mention before we go. It is April 22nd, and that makes this the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So there's been a lot of conversation about how the planet is kind of taking a nice break while a lot of us stay at home. There's less traffic, there's less pollution because there are certainly less things happening. There's less manufacturing and those kinds of things that do, unfortunately, pollute our environment. And we will only have to wait to see what the impact is of this shutdown on the environment. But today is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Hopefully you get an opportunity to go outside, celebrate this big ball that we all live on, because without it, we wouldn't be here. And those are just the facts. Okay, those are your top headlines for this morning. It's Wednesday, April 22nd. I'm Stephanie Haney. Next up, you can catch 3 News Connect. That is at noon on TV on Channel 3 on 3 News, but also on WKYC.com, our WKYC app, on Facebook and on YouTube. That's with Jay Crawford and our senior health correspondent, Monica Robbins. And then I will be back here at 2 p.m. with those updated Ohio Department of Health numbers for you and the headlines that are trending at that time. I'm Stephanie Haney, and I'll see you back here in a little bit.